What is Prop 19 and how has it changed property assessments?
Prop 19 has changed property assessments more significantly than anything since Proposition 13. It's a very complex proposition. It really has two component parts were only vaguely related to each other. A little of the history here. In the 1990s, citizens of California passed two propositions, Proposition 60 and Proposition 90. It allowed homeowners with low assessed values, because they've owned the home for a long period of time, to transfer that low assessment to a new home with certain conditions. But Prop 60 allowed you to do it in any county within the county. Prop 90 allowed you to do it outside the county, but it was by county option. So only 10 counties out of 58 elected to allow Proposition 90 transferred into their county. The realtors were very concerned about that limitation, and I was too. You know, if you're trying to get grandma closer to the grandkids, why should she be limited to just 10 counties? Well, the realtors put a measure on the ballot in 2018, I think it was, called Proposition 15, and it allowed universal Prop 90 transfers. In other words, you could transfer your low assessed value if you're over the age of 55, that was the limitation, to any county in the state. The state of California said that would cost $1 billion a year in lost property tax revenue. And of course, the major benefit of property tax revenue are schools.
Right.
So the teachers got together with the labor unions and said, we're going to put this down. They told the realtors who had already qualified Prop 15 for the ballot, if you try to pass this, we'll kill it. The realtors were stuck because they knew that with the schools behind it and labor behind, opposed to it, that it was not going to happen. So it went down. It was on the ballot already, and it went down about 60-40. So the realtors had a problem. How to get their main interest, and that is a universal transfer of ownership, transfer a low assessed value to any county in the state. But they had to find $1 billion worth of lost property tax revenue to offset that. So they then looked at Prop 58, which is, we call it the intergenerational transfer, which allows parents to transfer their principal residence and the low assessed value to their children. Proposition 58 allowed parents to transfer their principal residence and their low assessed value to their child or children. The realtors said that's the source of the revenue to make up for the $1 billion that were lost with the universal Prop 90, which really allowed for the universal transfer of a low assessed value to any county in the state. And to make up for the $1 billion that were lost, they eliminated the ability to transfer your low assessed value to your children, with the exception is your child or children had to live in the property. What was happening is parents were transferring a low assessed value to the children, but the children weren't living there. So they were turning these properties into rental properties, which was taking home ownership opportunities off the market. So a classic example was Lloyd Bridges, an actor of my age, but he had two sons, Bo and Jeff. Lloyd Bridges had two sons, Bo Bridges and Jeff Bridges, both very famous in the Hollywood set. Lloyd Bridges had a home in Malibu on the ocean, with panoramic views of the Pacific Ocean, access to the beach. And he transferred on his death that property to his sons, Bo and Jeff Bridges. They rented the property immediately. They didn't want them to live there. So they were renting it for $16,000 a month, but because they had a very low assessment, they were paying $5,000 a year in property taxes. And so that's where the revenue came from to make up for the revenue lost, universal Prop 90 transfers. that is now being challenged by those folks that would like to have that ability back to transfer your principal residence again to your child or children. They're trying to eliminate the requirement that the child or children live in it. And so theoretically, you could have a home transferred from generation to generation. So maybe in 2050, you may have a property that has a 1975 tax base. And people like me think that that's not fair, that somehow transferring the family home is a good idea to maintain the family home in the family, but not to just turn these properties one after another into rental properties, which really lowers the ability for home ownership. The way you prove that for Prop 19 is that you have to show that it's your principal residence. So a lot of these changes are all based upon the principal residence, and you have to demonstrate that in fact it is your principal residence. Where you get your mail, where you're registered to vote, where you come home at night after work, all of those things have to be established to prove that in fact the property we're talking about being transferred is in fact your principal residence.
Check the full episode on our YouTube channel and on Apple Podcast.